Hey, so hi everyone. We're gonna start by drawing a line and then we're gonna draw a couple of circles, a couple of triangles. If you know how to draw a circle and a triangle and a rectangle, this is basically all you need to do. And then you also need to know how to create shades, and that's also pretty easy. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take a sharpened pencil, we're gonna sharpen it, and now we're gonna press a little bit harder, and because it's sharpened, it's gonna be darker. So we're gonna draw in a little bit of details. So I'm going around the silhouettes and just kind of refining it, putting in trunks and details on the totem pole. And now that we're done with the outline, we're gonna darken the shading as well. And we're gonna darken some trees more than the others so that it's more pronounced what thing is in front and behind. And using this method, in a very, very short time, we've created a pretty nice sketch. So hi, I am Matej Jan and I study education here at Stanford, and I primarily work with adults, and what I see a lot is there's this discrepancy between what people want to do and what people actually do. And first of all, so they would say, oh, I wish I could draw like that. And so the first thing to know about that is that they're not actually saying what they want to do, which would be drawing. They just want to be able to draw like that. So it's basically just what they want. And so that is a goal. This is where an outcome where they want to get, but they're completely different things of getting there. Having that goal, that's an aspiration that they want to reach. And so an aspiration is a hope or ambition of achieving something. What you need to actually do to get the things done is motivation, because motivation is the reason you have for acting or behaving in a particular way. So motivation is what will enable you to actually draw, and hope is one motivator. Like that's what everyone is like. You've seen an artwork and you're like, I want to draw like that. And so that drives your motivation. But there's also things that drive it down, like fear, like you are afraid, whoa, what if my artwork is crap? And there's a couple of other motivators. Like, for example, when you actually get to draw, is it something that's pleasurable, or it's just an awful experience? And then there's also how socially accepted you get for doing that or not. Basically, all this time until you're gonna get to your goal is your artwork is gonna be crap. And that's what Ira Glass called the gap. And he says, I wish somebody told me all of us who do creative work, we get into it because we have good taste. But there is this gap. For the first couple of years you make stuff, it's just not that good. It's trying to be good, it has potential, but it's not. But your taste, the thing that got you into the game, is still killer. And your taste is why your work disappoints you. And a lot of people never get past this phase and they quit. And so that's what Ira Glass is trying to say. And that's what easy describes why people then don't choose why to draw, because they would rather go for an activity that doesn't have this fear or social unacceptance component, and they just go for something that's instant gratification, that's just immediate pleasure. So basically, no matter how much people have a strong aspiration to want to be able to draw like that, their motivation will actually be on a scale from high to low. It's not universally going to be high just because they want to be able to draw like that. And there's another reason why they don't actually draw. So there's also, on another axis, we have ability. So how easy it is for them to draw in that moment, or hard to do. And this is part of real life. Does it cost money? Do they have time to do it? Is it part of their routine? Like, how easy it will fit in their life? And how much effort is it going to be, both mentally and physically? So for you to actually draw, which is the behavior of you drawing, three things need to come together. And so you have to have motivation, you need to be able to draw, have the ability, and there need to be a trigger, so which is kind of like a prompt, some kind of a reminder that say, hey, you should draw right now. And what's interesting about the motivation and ability is that there's actually a trade-off. You can have high motivation, which will enable you to do hard things. Or if your motivation is low, you will still be able to do something that's pretty easy to do. And so when I ask you to, hey, do you want to draw? If you're on the upper right part of the action line, you will do the behavior. If you're not, if you're under the action line, you will just, I'd rather go watch Netflix. And so because you don't really know where the motivation is, people have ups and downs. So that's where I designed Sketch5 on the easy part of the spectrum. And I made it easy to do. First of all, it's free. It only takes 5 minutes. I require it to be part of your routine. And as you saw, all you need to know is how to draw lines and triangles. And for the routine, I will actually ask you, so if this is you going through your day, I will ask you to pick a spot that you pass a couple of times a week. And I will ask you every time you pass it, stop there. But I will not actually ask you to stop there for 5 minutes and draw. I will only ask you, sit down for 30 seconds. That's all you have to do. Sit down for 30 seconds, and then if you're busy that day, just go on. And that's all you have to do. And so basically, if I ask you to draw, the time is kind of relative. If I ask you, hey, would you, take 5 minutes to draw, you might be, I don't know, not right now, I'm busy. But if I just ask you to, hey, 30 seconds, part of your routine, something you already passed, you sit down. So that behavior is actually even easier to do. But now once you're there, I have just made it easier for you to actually be able to sketch, since you've done a prerequisite step. So sitting down is your starter step, and that's how I move the possibility of you drawing for Sketch5 into the action area more often. The key to this is, like, if I ask you to do something big, let's say people, when they decide they're going to be doing New Year's resolutions, they're like, I'm going to be doing cardio for 1 hour every day. And so they do it a couple of times, and then real life interferes and they don't do it. And then maybe, they do, and then they don't do it. And eventually that becomes the days that they don't do it. They're not pleasurable. They're like, I failed. And so it becomes a demotivating factor. And on the other hand, this 30-second thing is just a tiny habit that you're doing. It's so super easy that every time you come by, sitting down for 30 seconds is super easy, and you're creating positive emotions regarding to that. And this is how I designed Sketch5. I invite you to try it out on matejan.com/sketch5. Bye-bye.